Sri Sai Satcharitra, Chapter 11. Sai as Sagun Brahman, Dr. Pandit's worship, Haji Siddiq Falke, control over the elements. Let us now in this chapter describe the manifested Sagun Brahman Sai, how he was worshipped and how he controlled the elements. Sai as Sagun Brahman. There are two aspects of God or Brahman, the unmanifested Nirgun and the manifested Sagun. The Nirgun is formless while the Sagun is with form. Though both denote the same Brahman, some prefer to worship the former, some the latter. As stated in the Gita, the worship of the latter is easy and preferable. As man has got a form, it is natural and easy for him to worship the God with form. Our love and devotion do not develop Sagun Brahman for a certain period of time, and as we advance, it leads us to worship or meditate on Nirgun Brahman. So, let us start with Sagun worship, image, altar, fire, light, sun, water, Brahman are the worship. But Sadguru is better than all these. Let us on this occasion bring to our mind the form of Sai, who was non-attachment incarnate and who was a resting place for his wholehearted devotees. Our faith in his words is the seat of asan. And our sankalpa, determination to start and finish the puja, is the abandonment of all our desires. Some say that Sai was a Bhagavad Bhakta, devotee of the Lord. Others say he was a Mahabhakta, but to us, he is God incarnate. He was extremely forgiving, never irritable, straight, soft, tolerant, and content beyond comparison. Though he looked embodied as having the form, he was really disembodied, emotionless, unattached, and internally free. The Ganges on its way to the sea cools and refreshes the creatures affected with heat, gives life to the crops and trees, and quenches the thirst of many. Similarly, saints like Sai, while they live solace and comfort to all. Lord Krishna has said that the saint is my soul, my giving image. I am he, or he is my pure form. This indescribable Shakti or power of God, known as pure existence, knowledge and bliss, incarnated in the form of Sai in Shirdi. The Shruti, Taittiriya Upanishad, describes Brahman as bliss. This we read or hear daily in books, but the devout people experience this Brahman. Baba, the support of all, required no prop or support from anybody. He always used a piece of sackcloth for his seat. He was covered with a small beautiful bed by his bhaktas and had a bolster placed by them as a rest to his back. Baba respected the feelings of his devotees and allowed them to worship him as they liked. Some waved chamara or fans before him. Some played on musical instruments. Some washed his hands and feet. Some others applied scent and chandan, beechnut leaves and other things, and some others offer naivedya. Though he looked like living in Shirdi, he was present everywhere. This all-pervasiveness was experienced by his devotees daily. Our humble prostration to this all-pervasive Sadguru. Dr. Pandit's worship. One Dr. Pandit, a friend of Tatya Sahib Nulkar, once came to Shirdi for Baba's darshan. After saluting Baba, he stayed in the masjid for some time. Baba asked him to go to Dada Bhatt Kelkar. He went to Dada Bhatt, by whom he was well. Then Dada Bhatt left his house for puja and Dr. Pandit accompanied him. Dada Bhatt worshipped Baba. Nobody until then dared to apply sandal paste to Baba's forehead. Only Mahalsapati used to apply it to his throat. But this simple-hearted devout Dr. Pandit took Dada Bhatt's dish containing puja materials and taking sandal paste out of it, drew a tripundra, that is, three horizontal lines on Baba's forehead. To the surprise of all, Baba kept silent without uttering a single word. They asked Baba, "How is it that though you object to the sandal paste being applied by others to your forehead, but you allow Dr. Pandit to do so now?" Baba replied that Dr. Pandit believed him to be the same as his guru Raghunath Maharaj of Dhopeshwar, known as Kaka Puranik, and he applied the paste to his forehead as he was doing to his guru. Hence, he could not object. On inquiry, Dr. Pandit told Dadabhat that he took Baba as his guru Kaka Puranik, and hence he marked the Tripundra on his guru's head. Though Baba allowed the devotees to worship him as they pleased, still sometimes he acted in a strange way. Sometimes he threw away the puja dish and was wrath incarnate. Then who could approach him? Sometimes he scolded the devotees. At times he looked softer than wax, a statue of peace and forgiveness. Though he seemed to shake with anger and his red eyes rolled round and round, still he was internally a stream of affection and motherly love. Immediately he called out, "He ever angry with his devotees? That if mother kicked their children and if the sea turned back the rivers, he would neglect the devotees' welfare. That he, the slave of his devotees, always stood by them and responded to them whenever they called upon him, and that he always longed for their love." Haji Siddiq Falke. There was no knowing when Baba would accept a devotee. That depended on his sweet will. Siddiq Falke's story is to the point. One Mohammedan gentleman by name Siddiq Falke of Kalyan, after making a pilgrimage to Makkah and Medina, came to Shirdi. He lived in a chavdi facing north and sat in the open courtyard of the masjid. For 9 months, Baba ignored him and did not allow him to step into the masjid. Falke felt much disconsolate and did not know what to do. Somebody advised him not to be disappointed, but to try to approach Baba through Shama, a close and intimate devotee of Baba. He told him that as they approached the god Shiva through his servant and devotee Nandi, so Baba should be approached through Shama. Falke liked the idea and implored Shama to intercede for him. Shama agreed and on a convenient occasion spoke to Baba about this. "Baba, why don't you allow the old Haji to step into the masjid? While so many persons freely come and go after taking your darshan, why not bless him once?" Baba replied, "Shama, you are too young to understand things. If the fakir Allah does not allow, what I can do? Without his grace, who will climb into the masjid? Well, go to him and ask him whether he will come to the narrow footpath near the Barwi well." Shama went and returned with an affirmative answer. Again Baba said to Shama, "Ask him the sum of 40,000 rupees in 4 installments." Shama went and returned with the answer that he was willing to pay even 40 lakhs. Again Baba said to Shama, "We are going to butcher a goat in the masjid, so ask him whether he would like to have mutton, haunch or testicles of the goat." Shama returned with the answer that the Haji would be happy to receive a small crumb from Baba's kolamba. Hearing this, Baba got excited and with his hands threw away the earthen jars and kolamba and straightway advanced to the Haji and lifting up his kafni with his hands said, "Why do you brag and fancy yourself great and pose yourself as an old Haji? Do you read Quran like this? You are proud of your pilgrimage to know me. Being thus scolded, the Haji was confounded. Baba then went to the masjid, purchased a few baskets of mangoes and sent them to the Haji. Then again Baba went to the Haji and taking out 55 rupees from his pocket, gave them in the Haji's hand. Thenceforth, Baba loved the Haji, invited him for meals, and the Haji thereafter came into the masjid whenever he liked. Baba gave him at times some rupees, and thus the Haji was enlisted in Baba's darbar. Baba's control over the elements. We chapter after describing two incidents showing Baba's control over the elements. Once at evening time there was a terrible storm at Shirdi. The sky was overcast with thick black clouds. The winds began to blow forcibly. The clouds roared and the lightning began to flash, and the rains began to descend in torrents. In a short time, the whole place was flooded with water. All the creatures, birds, beasts, and men got terribly frightened, and they all flocked to the masjid for shelter. There are many local deities in Shirdi, but none of them came to their help. So they all prayed to Baba, their God, who was fond of their devotion, to intercede and quell the storm. Baba was much moved. He came out and standing at the edge of the masjid, addressed the storm in a voice. Stop! Stop your fury and the calm. In a few minutes the rain subsided, the wind ceased to blow, and the storm came to a stop. Then the moon rose in the sky, and the people then went back home well pleased. On another occasion at noon, the fire in the Duni began to burn brightly. Its flames were seen to be reaching the rafters above. The people who were sitting in the masjid did not know what to do. They dared not to ask Baba to pour water or do anything to quench the flames. But Baba soon came to realize what was happening. He took up his satka and dashed it against a pillar in front, saying, Get down, be calm. At each stroke of the satka, the flames began to lower and slow down, and in a few minutes the dhuni became calm and normal. This is our Sai, an incarnation of God. He will bless any man who will prostrate and surrender himself to him. He who will read the stories of this chapter daily with faith and devotion will soon be free from all calamities. Not only this, but always attached and devoted to Sai, he will very soon God vision. All his desires will be fulfilled, and being ultimately desireless, he will attain the Supreme. Amen. Bow to Sri